Change is good. When I put that talk title together, I was going to break into my piggy bank and bring a bunch of change for y'all. Make it rain and say, see, change is good. But then I had visions of y'all getting kind of hit and poked, and I was like, no, maybe change is not good right there. But seriously, as a play on words, change is good. And really, change is neither good nor bad. Change is just change. This month, we've been reading the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And what we've gathered from the reading of this month's book is that life offers us opportunities to go with the flow, kind of like the sea creature that Juliet was reading about. It gives us an opportunity to change and do something different, to recognize that we may be in a position that no longer serves us, that we may be, as in the book, in an empty cheese station. And instead of racking our brains or getting tools and knocking down walls to see if the cheese is on the other side, or to try to figure out and find out who moved my cheese to get revenge or to try to fix it, instead, we get our lesson from the mice, who had recognized that things had been shifting and changing all along, who recognized that there was a slight change from day to day, who took inventory of their lives, of the cheese around them, who were steadfast in their practice of putting on their running shoes and their running gear and going a particular way. And when the cheese was gone, they indeed just kind of said, WTF? Why the face? The cheese is gone. We better go back in the maze and find some cheese. Sniff, kind of sniffed around and scurry went along into the maze. And together on their journey, they indeed found more cheese at another cheese station. Whereas the two little humans, they were just there over and over and over again, not willing to accept the change. And we had a chance this month so far to identify with probably all four characters. An opportunity to see where sometimes we just get stuck in our ways and we want to find out who messed up, why, so we can blame them or we can get our old cheese back. And old cheese is still old cheese. It's no good anymore. You know, we lament and we just long for the good old days. And the good old days are gone. That's why they're called the good old days. And this moment is a gift. That's why they call it the present. And how we stay focused on what's happening now. And what's happening now is that there's no cheese here. That thing that nourishes me, that thing that enriches me, that thing that I seek, that brings me happiness and joy is no longer around. So, either I can stay stuck or I can continue to move because things have changed. Now, the thing is that as spiritual people and as we begin to unfold and as we begin to grow, as we begin to check out the content of our consciousness and begin to see that there are some dusty things in there, meaning antiquated thoughts and ideas, things that no longer serve us, we begin to sweep them out, to get them out of the way, and to implant or to really condition our thoughts into knowing the truth so that we might live from that place. And what happens is that we've been told and we've believed for so long that change is bad or that I don't do well with change. Malarkey. That's not true. Why, in fact, every day is different. If you were to see me the same today as you saw me last week, I can tell you that I've changed. My life experiences from last week to this week have altered me in such a way that today I am a new person. I am a different person than I was last week. If you look at yourselves, you today are a different person than you even were an hour before you got here, or yesterday. So we're constantly changing, evolving, and growing. And some of us want to stay stuck in the emptiness. There's something that kind of helps to keep us there. And it's these antiquated thoughts in our mind that change is bad, or that we don't want anything to change. We want things to stay the same because I'm happy here. But as spiritual people, what we know is that there's one power, one presence, one life. That life is the life that God is. And if that's the only life, and it is having its way in, through, and as everything, then I must trust. Either I believe that, and I trust that when I let go, it may be different. I may be bruised for a minute, just for a second, until I am buoyant, until I am floating, until I am flying, until I am going with the flow. See, the nature of life and the nature of God is to express, and express fully. The nature of God is fullness, and in every way. And to the degree in which I know that and accept that and live by that, it is to that degree that I get to experience freedom from all discord. Freedom from all discord. Freedom from the idea of lack and limitation. Freedom from the idea of sickness and illness. Freedom from the idea of bondage. Freedom. Pure freedom. And yet, the struggles really lie within our consciousness, within our thought process, within our perception or our purview of life. And we're the ones who can change that. Change that. Change that. We're the ones who can make the slight adjustment. Because change is not only good, but change is God. It's just the nature and the natural evolution of life itself. And I must believe and trust that if things are different, that they are changing for my highest good, for your highest good, for the highest good of all involved. Otherwise, it would not be happening. And too many times, if we kind of back up, we go, oh yeah, but Rev, there's this and there's that. There's so much trouble in the world. There's so much this, there's so much that. Yeah, if we see it that way. The nature of life, like flowers, like trees, is the birth and what appears to be the death, but it is actually the rejuvenation so that it continues to happen. That's just the nature and the cycle of this experience, this earthly experience that we have. And so when we resist the change, we're only hurting ourselves. And sometimes when we resist the change, we rob others of the opportunity to see the growth for themselves. Whereas when we allow ourselves to go with the flow, when we allow ourselves to deal with the change and to trust that because God is living, breathing, and having its way as my life, that everything that is necessary to handle and deal with this change is indeed within me. There's nothing, no thing that you cannot handle that you're faced with. Nothing. Unless, of course, you believe it to be so. But we get to recognize that God is sitting in your chair. Right where you are, God is. The intelligence that God is, you possess. I like to talk about it like this. An acorn. What's in an acorn? Okay, so I heard an oak tree, a seed, and what did you say? Oak tree. Okay. Anybody else have a different answer? Oak tree, it's a seed. Potential. In an acorn is a forest. Right? In an acorn is an entire forest. Why? Because indeed there is the oak tree, but that oak tree litters or releases more acorns that also produce. As it is true for the acorn, it is true for us. God has created us out of itself, not out of a junkyard, like I like to say. It wasn't God in a junkyard and God decided to create. No, there was only ever God. And God created out of itself some act of involution, and here we are, voila. So we are God. We are that acorn, and what is within us is that potentiality, that forest, that grandeur, that bigness. But I have to believe that. I have to believe that and to know that whatever life gives, whatever and however life flows, that I have everything necessary within me to deal with and to handle effectively with that change. I need not fear change. A, because it's happening all the time and I'm dealing with it, but I'm not necessarily consciously aware of it. And B, because it's not really that big of a deal when we really look at it. When we are really practicing trusting that our life is indeed that life that God is. When we're living from that place. But here's what happens. We forget. We forget. I forget that my life is that life that God is. And that's why it's imperative, it's so important that even like the mice sniff and scurry, and then eventually, like Haw, because Haw got back into the routine one more time, he had kind of gone off course after a while in Cheese Station C in the book when it talks about when they landed in Cheese Station C and there was all this cheese there, he stopped putting on his tennis shoes. They were coming out in their robes, just kind of like, okay, the cheese is going to be there. And then when it wasn't, they weren't prepared to go back into the maze. But Haw had an epiphany. Haw began to think about and to be reminded that, there's more cheese out there in the maze. That which brings me joy is there. I must participate in my rituals. I must participate in my practice in order to get me to that cheese. See, the mice, they put on their running shoes every day. They put on their jogging suits every day. That's kind of like our prayer, our meditation, our spiritual practice. The things that should not change. The things that actually help us to remember our truth. You see, what happens is we forget. We forget. And so when change happens, we think, oh my gosh, I lost my job. You know, people on Facebook be like, oh, today I lost my job. I write back, congratulations. Congratulations. Something wonderful is about to happen. Because let's face it, when one door closes, there are so many other opportunities and others that are open. And some of them, true enough, we got to kick down or open up, use a key. But there's always something happening for our good. Life is constantly just simply helping to remove that which no longer serves us. And when I am in direct contact, when I am steeped in my spiritual practice, when that change comes, I'm not affected negatively by it, but indeed looking forward to the adventure that comes as a result of it. Here's what the book said. One of the things that Haw did along the way, once he left his friend, it was pretty hard to leave him in empty Cheese Station C. But sure enough, when he did decide to go, he would leave these writings on the wall, just in case him came along, it would act as encouragement for him. And I think I shared this with you last week. If you do not change, you can become extinct. If we don't change, we're going to be stuck at the bottom of the stream, just holding on, not doing anything but holding on. unless we change, unless we go with the flow, unless we allow life to show us all its divine beauty and love and joy and its adventure, we really die. I could see him in Empty Cheese Station C, just kind of melting away, dwindling away, just, back and forth, so paralyzed by fear, not going back into the maze to find the cheese, which he had done so many times before. Is that what we want for ourselves as spiritual people? Do we want to just get stuck in that empty cheese station? Or do we want to experience thriving? Do we want to experience a life beyond measure? Do we want to experience freedom from all discord? And it is possible. It is possible when we dig deep, when we begin to really do our personal work. And I love that this cute story that took us 4 weeks to talk about has given us so much to encourage us to really step into our practice, to really step into looking at our lives and looking at what's my cheese? What is it that I really want to accomplish or be, or how is it that I want to express in the world? And what am I willing to do? Am I willing to put on my tennis shoes and my jogging outfit? That really is significant. Am I really ready to engage in my spiritual practice so that I might live a life beyond my wildest dreams? That I might live the truth of who I am. Ernest Holmes talks about it. In the Science of Mind book, on page 385, Ernest Holmes says, when the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on our lips and a song in the heart. When change comes, we should welcome it. Hello, change. It reminds me, I'm a little bit older than some of you in our community, but a lot of you will know this. It reminds me of Ed Norton in The Honeymooners when he was learning how to play golf. And they were reading the instructions, and he's got the little golf ball, and he's got the club, and Ralph Cramden says, address the ball, and Ed Norton says, hello, ball. Welcome, change. Hello, change. Welcome. Welcome. Greet it with a smile on your lips. Hello, change. You are so welcome in my life. Are you kidding me? I can't wait to see what joys I get as a result of this. And a song in the heart. Now, some of you can't carry a tune. But so what? Who cares? A song in your heart means nobody else can hear it. A song in your heart. That reminds me of the Little Rascals when Alfalfa was too sick. Was it Alfalfa or Spanky? I don't really remember. The one episode when either Alfalfa or Spanky was like too sick to go to school. Oh, I'm too sick to go to school. And his mama said, it's Saturday. Oh, it's Saturday. Oh, it's Saturday. The song in your heart. Imagine being that happy that it's Saturday because you don't have to go to school. That's the kind of joy, that's the kind of song that you want to have in your heart, welcoming change. That smile on your lips, that big old ear-to-ear smile that says, yes, I love you, I welcome you, you are welcomed here, because we know beyond the shadow of a doubt that change is good. That the change that is upon us, that which is occurring right now is for our highest good. Even sometimes when it means separation from people that we love, there is something that is about to happen and transform us. There is a longing that's going to develop so that when we see each other again, that there's this connection, this love, everything. Whether it's losing a job, whether it's your shoestring breaks and you need to change out a new shoestring, whatever it is for good. It is for our good. It is to remind us of the truth of who we are. It is sometimes the removal of that which no longer serves us. So we must greet it with a smile, with a song in our heart. We must indeed know that, like that creature was lifted up, we get to know that God's love lifts us up. That as soon as we allow ourselves to change, as soon as we allow ourselves to go with the flow, that we are lifted up. That people will watch and go, wow, she dealt with that. He dealt with that really well. I wonder why. And we begin to attract people to us. And they want to know how we did it. They want to know what tools we used. And we can simply point them back to the truth of who we are. You know, I just remember that my life is the life that God is. I just remember that I am the peace that God is. You know, we've been looking at dealing with change even within our organization. You know, as a people, or even in our nation. The changes that continue to occur if we're staying up with current events, both in our nation, in the world, in our organization. And the way to deal with the change is to be that place of love, to be that place of peace, to be that place of power, to be that place of harmony, to be that place of wholeness and health, to be that place where God lives and has its beingness, that is centered, that is serene, that is joy-filled. To be that place where we know that the change is occurring so that we might be lifted, that we might see, that we might know, that we might continue to be lifted and lifted and lifted. There are no mistakes. The change is not a mistake. It's not an error. There are no mistakes that you are here tonight and that everything came together to make sure that it happened. You've dealt with the change really well. And so as we move into our quiet time that we call meditation or contemplation, quiet time, let us simply focus maybe on one thing that is changed in our life that we're maybe having a little challenge with. Some of you are smiling. You already got that. I was like, oh, yeah, that one. Which one? Oh, wait, that one too. Oh, and that one, and that one, and that one. But think about that for just a moment. And begin to simply ask your higher self, meaning that internal presence of God that is living you, that is breathing you. Just asking that it be revealed to you the purpose of this change, how it is indeed for your highest good, how folks will benefit from it, how you will be lifted up, how you will rise from the bottom as soon as you let go of the way it used to be. You may even ask, how do I let go? What are the steps necessary to letting go and allowing myself to rise, to float, to go with the stream and go with the flow? You may even do like Ha and visualize yourself. See yourself letting go. See yourself successful on the other side of this particular change. But most of all, see yourself knowing that this change is not only for your higher good, but for the highest good of everyone around you. It is all well. Change is good.